Hey guys!
Ah, Dad. Please, sit down. Leave us.
So what are we watching, man?
Did you ever hear the tragedy? I gotta take this off, hang on one sec. Stuffy beyond belief.
It is Arizona.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Megalon the beetle? Megalon was a kaiju so powerful, so wise, he could spit an exploding tomato out of his mouth to end life. He had such a knowledge of the underground world of Seatopia, he could even protect the people who lived in it from dying.
What happened to him?
Unfortunately, he teamed up with Gigan, then was bitch-slapped by Godzilla and Jet Jaguar. Ironic. He could save the people of Seatopia, but not himself.
Is it possible to purchase this movie on Blu-ray?
Not from a Godzilla fan. In All Smiles, Robo-Man dukes it out with vengeful undersea Caucasians and their killer driller beetle. Oh, and Godzilla's in there somewhere too. So, Godzilla vs. Megalon. This was actually the first Godzilla movie I ever saw as a young lad.
One of the many movies that everybody's like,
worst Godzilla movie ever!
And of course,
I ranked it right in the middle. Don't hate, internet, please.
Everybody hates this movie. It's extremely stupid, it's extremely goofy, and it's definitely, you know, hardly the pinnacle of the Showa era of Godzilla films. This is going to be heresy for some, so cover your ears,
Earmuffs,
please. But I find some of the 70s movies much more entertaining than the classic 1960s Godzilla movies.
Basically, there's an undersea civilization of Caucasians.
Seatopia.
Seatopia. They call upon Megalon, which is their beetle god, to basically enact revenge against the surface dwellers like us. I will say, I like the fact that it's not a space monster, it's not a monster who's created from, you know, an atomic bomb. Some kind of unique. He's from the ground, you know?
Yeah, Sekizawa apparently was really fascinated with underground civilizations. They explored that in the movie Atragon, which is the first movie that Manda actually appeared in.
Manga!
It's the first time in Godzilla that you have an underground civilization that's like, send the monster forth!
Yeah, I thought that was a cool idea. Then we have an inventor who invents a robot for literally no purpose at all.
Two guys, a kid, and a robot all living in the same house. I mean, if that's not a sitcom waiting to happen, I don't know what is.
Come on, knock on our door.
Jet Jaguar's waiting for you.
Something his and the robots. Three's company.
And punch, 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 punch.
As usual, the little kid is annoying beyond belief.
It's the same little kid from.
Is it really?
From Midora.
Oh God Almighty! So you like Godzilla, eh?
But yeah, the same exact little kid, not the same character, but the same little kid.
I'm gonna harpoon him right in the chest. So, Jet Jaguar is built by this guy. That's the name of the robot, by the way. Jet Jaguar. It resembles neither a jet nor a jaguar. But it resembles Jack Nicholson. Why don't we go up into space and beat us up some Gigants and some Mechagodzillas and maybe a Ghidorah or two, Johnny? Then we get some sort of agent from Seatopia attempting to steal Jet Jaguar and control its mind.
You got Japanese Bluto. And then you have Japanese Professor Snape from Harry Potter.
I would like to take your robot Jet Jaguar with me down to Seatopia.
One of the weirder things is that Seatopia and Professor Snape, they've disposed of the main characters and the kid, at least they think they have. And then the kid and one of the adults come back and they're trying to get inside, break inside this laboratory. The plan that they have is so f***ing weird. It's something akin to knocking at the door. Professor Snape, you know, comes up and he opens it.
Who beckons at this hour?
But there's this plane that comes in and hits him square in the f***ing face, and that was the whole plan. We were gonna throw a model airplane in his face to get back inside.
There's a lot in this movie that doesn't make sense.
No, but it's mildly entertaining. Much like what happens to poor Seatopian Professor Snape. And Brian turns to me and he goes, I hope there's no rock throwing in this.
No, there hasn't been any rock throwing in this movie yet.
Yeah, and much like what happened, he said this in the previous movie, and then all of a sudden, bam, there it was. Not one, not two, but like 3 or 4 rocks being thrown. And the minute he said that, all of his head like clockwork, Megalon kicks a giant rock, and this rock, in such a bad fashion, just crushes poor Seatopian Alan Rickman.
Oh my, I am as flat as a pancake. I prefer my flapjacks with maple syrup fresh from them.
I hate him. Why? Why do you think it's such a good idea? I know I say this every episode, but I hate it. I'm done with this shit.
Eventually, Jet Jaguar breaks out of control while Megalon is rampaging in the city. Jet Jaguar is like, oh shit, I better go get Godzilla. And then 43 minutes in, he gets Godzilla. Godzilla comes at the very end. Megalon gets a little bit of help. Big battle ensues. Handshake follows.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
The majority of the f***ing movie is dedicated to Jet Jaguar. This movie is the Jet Jaguar movie.
Yeah.
Godzilla's not even mentioned, I believe, until the 43-minute mark.
Yeah.
Where the military is actually sending for him to come save their asses.
Yeah.
Which has to be at first. He doesn't appear until the very 3rd act. Is that a bad thing?
I think Jet Jaguar is entertaining as hell, to be honest.
I think that the story of what they were doing, if Godzilla wasn't in this, I think I would still find this movie entertaining in a stupid way.
Oh yeah.
And the act structure of this movie is much like the 70s films, or at least the previous 2, where it's human, interspersed with some monsters, human. 3rd act comes, big fight.
Yeah.
The entire thing.
I mean, we're talking 30, 40 minutes
at
just
least
non-stop.
But it's like a wrestling match, you know?
It is.
And it's just constantly evolving, and it's entertaining as f***.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's not one of the best fights. It's definitely no Godzilla versus Mothra, because it's not going for that realism. This is just a bunch of guys in rubber suits doing their thing. It's a lot more like, you know, King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed too.
Yeah, just a lot of fun. Wow.
And apparently God does too. The big thing that a lot of people point out in this movie is Godzilla's flying dropkick, which most people say that is by far the most embarrassing thing that has ever befallen Godzilla, despite the fact that he danced in Monster Zero, despite the fact that he flew in Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. That is by far the most worst thing. I don't necessarily agree, but I think
I do.
Yeah,
I think it's the worst.
Do you really?
Yeah. Oh god. Okay, the dancing is stupid. The flying thing, if we want to like really just nitpick the hell out of it, he's using his atomic breath as some sort of propulsion thing. This makes no sense whatsoever.
I don't feel this is out of place in the atmosphere that this movie creates. The comic book, 1970s, just loopy as stuff.
Well, I agree with you there.
But here's the other things that I think make the other ones worse. Astro Monster is a great movie. It still stands as my 2nd favorite of the movies that we've seen so far. The problem with the dancing scene is that it is just out of left field and it is not in line with the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because this movie was full-fledged campy from the get-go.
Oh yeah.
And this doesn't necessarily conflict with that notion. Talking about the monsters individually themselves, I think we might have mentioned that Jet Jaguar was the product of a contest that an elementary school student won. I would love to meet this guy now and be like, so you're the creator of Jet Jaguar, huh?
Do you know how much your monster is loved?
Exactly. And personally, as a kid, I love the shit out of him. And as an adult, like, I find him goofy, I find him funny, you know, he looks funny, he looks goofy. I don't mind him though.
Something about him, I don't know what it is, but I like him, you know, I think he's entertaining to watch. I don't know what it is about him.
He's another interesting, good monster. Godzilla is very human-like. I mean, I guess we can jump right into that. I mean, he's, again, full-fledged hero here. The suit apparently only took 3 weeks to construct.
I don't like it.
Everyone calls it a Muppet. You called it a Muppet.
I think I might actually prefer the silvery eye compared to this one.
That is a huge statement.
I was thinking about it right now. And he looks more menacing.
With the loose lip?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I might. He looks more menacing, you know?
Oh my God.
Whereas this one's like, hey guy, you quit picking on that robot.
Let's talk about the other title monster besides Godzilla, which is Megalon. Interestingly enough, Megalon was actually supposed to appear in the previous movie when this movie was known as Godzilla versus the Space Monsters Earth Defense Initiative or something like that. It's what Godzilla versus Gigan turned into.
I feel like Megalon has a personality though. I mean, he's kind of like a bully. You know, he's taunting Jet Jaguar. He's an asshole.
Yeah. I really dig Megalon's design. I love the horn that shoots the lightning, even though it's like Ghidorah's lightning. I love the napalm orange-looking tomato thing that he shoots out. The drill hands, the beetle wings. On the tier with Gigan's just being one of the most unique Godzilla monsters.
He's pretty unique, yeah.
Speaking of which, Gigan, not so cool this time.
No, which really hurts because he's one of my favorites. And this one, he's kind of like that guy in the group of bullies who's like the asshole who just kind of laughs and talks trash, but, you know. Yeah. But then when it's time to fight, he's like, you know, yeah, you get him, you know.
What's weird is that most people seem to remember him as this version, not the last incarnation.
Which is sad.
Which I guess basically means that more people watch Megalon than they do Godzilla vs. Gigan, which I would not be surprised because apparently when this movie came out in the theaters in 1970, whatever, it did really well. Strangely enough, I don't know why. I have no idea why, but it did. It's fun, it's goofy, it's stupid, it's silly, and I love it. It's a movie I hope one day I will be able to introduce to either kids of my own or my nephew or, you know, all of the above.
It'll always be a special one for me too, because like I said, it was my first Godzilla movie, so I still remember like the exact moment that my dad came in with the VHS copy, and I'm thinking, what the hell is this? Imagine, you know, watching this for the first time and Gigan comes on the screen. What the hell is that?
Exactly.
Loved every minute of it though,
yeah.
Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this.
Can you believe this? We have traveled 20 years in the Godzilla franchise.
No, I can't.
The next movie is the 20th anniversary movie of Godzilla. 20 years since Godzilla 1954. Wow.
Can't believe that.
All right.
Quite a good one from what I remember, too.
It was one I loved as a kid. I can't actually believe that we're at the point where we are about to sit down and watch Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla, 1974. Guys, we'll see you back here next time when we review that flick. So, in the meantime, for Godzilla's sake, keep watching more Tokusatsu for the good of mankind and yourselves. I'm Matt.
Brian.
Here to remind you that bad, silly, weird, goofy-ass movies are always much better when you watch it with a pal.